Good morning, guys, and welcome to the European Crossover webinar. Apologies. As I told y'all yesterday, I was with my brother with his medical appointments yesterday, so that's why I was out at the US session. And I came back late, and I set the alarm, and I don't know what the heck happened. I even went to bed like super early. I've been asleep for, I think, close to 10 hours, actually, so this is crazy. But anyway, let me go and get started here. Apologies once again. Let me go on and move in. Let me actually have to put my Reuters so we can jump into the morning bid. And does one of the guys was just mentioned, Takis was saying it's pretty slow, and I did see that yesterday after I got back, so I didn't even get a chance other than to a couple of spot looks, an opportunity to go in and see where things were at the time. But let me go on and pull up the morning bid. And hang on a moment. And I'm just pulling up the Reuters right now. Then we can jump on that and just take a look at the morning bid, and then we'll get into the analysis. And we are seeing a pretty quiet morning. And I saw one thing I got back, I just kind of looked over the close, seeing that the euro had not even moved and everything had stayed relatively quiet. The odd thing is it doesn't even seem like I've been asleep for 10 hours. And just pulling that up right now. Do you see, let's see here. The dollar yen is still stuck around that 112, and still I'm surprised that hasn't been able to jump much beyond that. Okay, we'll do it this way here on the morning bid here. And it says Europe and France wakes up after the Notre Dame math. Live images of Notre Dame on fire gripped much of the world last night by around midnight local time. Fire chiefs saying they were confident they would save the structure itself, and this morning confirmed the fire was under control. A tweeted suggestion by Donald Trump that Paris emergency services used flying water tankers to douse the flames was immediately shut down by Paris officials, who pointed out that dropping large quantities of water would likely have brought down the rest of the edifice. Questions remain open about what exactly caused the fire and what extent past failures to look after the building had left it vulnerable. Emmanuel Macron, who canceled the TV address he had planned last night on policy response to the Yellow Vest protests, has promised a full rebuilding. The Arnault family and LVMH Group have pledged 200 million euros to that end. Britain's labour market remains an island of good news for Theresa May's government. It has defied the Brexit slowdown, with the unemployment rate tumbling to its lowest since 1975 and wages rising at the fastest pace in a decade. Economists polled by Reuters reckon that the latest official data from the February due will continue to show this in a bright spot for the Britain's economy. In the Eurozone, the market will be watching the latest survey of the Zoo Research on German investor morale. Again, data is due at 900 GMT. And we may have got that. Hang on. Also, it looks like another modestly positive day for risk sentiment on world markets, with equity indexes inching rather than bounding higher. Wall Street, which closed higher lower on Monday, looks set for a firmer open, with futures up 0.2. Asian shares are just below 9-month highs, and Europe is to open higher. Chinese shares jumped about 2% at one point after brisk home sales data and relatively strong earnings at big state-run firms. Today, they'll bring more cues on whether the tentative signs of an outlook outlook and growth momentum are for real. Germany releases its ZOO reading of the 900 GMT, which will show whether the improvement in March has been carried forward or further. Analysts reckon that the better recent data from China could see expectations component of the ZOO survey improve at last. But no one thinks markets and the economy are out of the woods yet. There are some signs that a U.S.-EU trade spat is next risk on horizon. Once the dispute with China is resolved and EU states have given the Commission tough guidelines for upcoming negotiations with Washington, Goldman Sachs earnings too tempered the equity bullishness and was fueled by J.P. Morgan's earnings. As the end of last week's Goldman Sachs shares dropped almost 4% last night. On currency markets, the Aussie dollar posted sharp drops, falling 0.4 off 7-week highs after the central bank left the door open to rate cuts. New Zealand's central bank had also had easing bias and would be retained. Bond yields have also inched higher as investors tentatively made their way back to the equities that a raft of data would as well have the state of play. U.S. industrial production figures for March are due today, while UK report February jobs data. And let's go on in. And I was going to go and grab that economic data real quick. Oh, those don't come out till the top of the hour. Okay. Now let's go on. The Aussie dollar struggles after the RBA caution. Other currencies tread water. Major currencies traded within narrow ranges on Tuesday before Europe and Chinese data that may indicate the worst is over for the global economy. The Aussie dollar was surprised lower after Australia's central bank left the door open ajar for a possible cut in interest rates. Market volatility has eased to multi-year lows in recent weeks. Moves have been limited through optimism over the U.S.-China trade talks, and strong Chinese economic data seems to be pushing investors out of safe havens and into other riskier currencies seeking higher yields. The yen remained closed to 2019 lows against the U.S. and Australian dollars. The dollar edged up against a basket of other major currencies on Tuesday, with investors cautious as they look for signs of stabilization in the global economy. The dollar index was last up 96.95 after ending the previous session a little change. The higher yielding dollar, with its interest rate differential versus the average of G10 foreign exchange being close to a 2-decade high, continued to retain support. Alice at ING said in a note to client, for low-yielding major currencies, it's difficult to go to the dollar's meaningful interest rate differential at this point, said the note. The RBA cutting interest rates would be appropriate if inflation stays low and unemployment rises, the central bank's April board meeting minutes showed. That fuels speculation not only that the next move to be a cut, but that will come this year, says Societe Generale's Kit Jukes. Australian dollar lost 0.4 to 71.44 after the release of the minutes, coming off Friday's near 7-week high. Markets are now focused on European and Chinese data for evidence of health of the global economy. The data includes German ZOO index for April, due around 900 GMT. And as I said, that'll be at the top of the hour. We can go in and cover that. Let's go get carried on with the data. Well, this is crazy. I've been asleep for almost 10 hours and I don't even feel rested or anything. Let me go on and let's go on and jump into the data. There we go. So let's go on and get started here with the euro. Now, one of the things that we had mentioned about, and even from all the way from last week, actually, I mentioned about the 1260, but that the euro, we couldn't get the real upside unless we got the close above 1291. We did get that close on Friday, and even in the Asia analysis, I said, albeit by 7 pips. And so we haven't made much of a run with it yesterday, nor not even necessarily today, but it has opened the door for us to move higher, much higher, not a whole lot higher, but at least to challenge into this 1356 and really to move higher. Really, if you got this up here, really open the door for us to generate that momentum. But we haven't been able to go and do it, and it's been relatively quiet. We even had a resistance level here in the buy chart at the 1356. But we haven't been able to move. My thoughts are also that it's not, the jury's still out on the dollar. I know a lot of people are looking for the dollar to really come under a lot of pressure, but or come under some pressure, but I think there's still the opportunity. It could still possibly go and jump up. One of the things that we saw in the data also is that, and generally that can work the other way around, is that we have the most dollar bulls since 2016. So that can always work the other way around. You get too many people loaded on the wrong side of the boat. But that being said, it still still leaves the door open that the dollar can make one more challenge that bulls are not going to be so quick to give up. So the 1356 is going to remain the same. There's no changes here. When we look here on the support, we have 1260, no changes there. If you're looking for something slight, and I don't even think that is necessarily would be correct, you could look at 1270. But we're so close anyway to 1260. I'm just saying is that, if you want to make the case, and the market will probably want to step in and defend against the 1270, but this 1260 is closer to where you've got real support here. I mean, that any dips into that, the market's going to well defend that area. So no changes here for the euro as it stays relatively quiet. Now, that being said, momentum continues to move its way. Same thing on the upside. Well, once again, it'd be 1356. You have this slight area here, this 1330 that we've had in place since Friday. But once again, it'd be 1356. Let's move into cable. These are probably all going to stay similar because there's no movement. Yesterday before I left, I was here to the early part of the U.S. session, and I just couldn't believe how quiet it's been because there's just no movement. And we're seeing the same thing here, even with the cable. This is unbelievable how quiet it is. There's just no movement. And we'd even if had expanded that. Remember, we've been holding this 30.95, and that's been for almost the entire week. I think since last Tuesday until yesterday. I gave it the benefit of the doubt in case the dollar did slide for 31.52, and still that 30.95 is holding like a rock. We'll keep the 31.52, which comes in right there, but right there, and stay with the pivot, which is 29.80. So no changes here. Well, we did certainly get a mover here with the RBA with the Aussie dollar. Let's go and take a look there. Well, we definitely moved lower, but I was saying definitely we did move lower, but it wasn't anything that necessarily changed the complexion on this market. It probably started a little bit on the defensive, but it wasn't as if we took out the other body. You can't even say it's even a bearish dark cloud cover here. It didn't even really make even, well, maybe barely to the halfway point. Um, I think this one's you can make the case here. There'll be some support at 71.36, and we're just not moving, okay? But it's really 71.21 because, as I said, when you think about this, there'll still be some pressure, maybe some, and I was gonna say some bulls that may have come in late. Well, we're not even, and I'm talking about as we made this move here. We're even if you came in late, they're not even that much underwater, to be quite honest with you, because we're just not moving that much. But we'll stay with the 71.21 resistance. At this point, then it's going to be right there, 71.84. We will adjust that. Okay, here. So here on the Kiwi, we had on the upside 67.95, 67.25, and as I said, we're trading so quietly. The 67.25 is going to stay in place, and as well on the 67.95. There's no need to go in and change that here. So no changes. Well, on the upside, we had 75.97. Here with the Kiwi versus the yen. We've challenged up here, but we haven't been able to get past there. And on the downside, I'm not sure why we had it so close. We had it very, very tight here. Look at that, 75.54. Let's take a little bit closer look on here. Well, we stayed technical, I can say that, and we've just stayed in this very, very tight range. I guess on a very short-term basis, we're just going to leave it like that, although it almost seems too tight. If you think about it, just 50 pips. But let's see where this thing goes, and if it does go and try and break here. But we're bounded on the upside. We saw the 75.97 and right here, which seems like it was way too close to 75.54. I could have even been at least right there, but we've broken out. We'd have to go in and that's not even that far away here, 75.28. But you'd really look to split the difference right there, and it'd be, which isn't even much, 75.42. But we'll just leave that as it stands for now. And let's go on into the dollar CAD. Well, we showed here on the Asian analysis we were bounded by from 32.95 to 33.82. Let's see, we actually got as low as, wow, we got down to third. Boy, I would have loved to have gotten here, but I was out for those personal reasons. But look at that, doggone it! That was a good little dip down to 32.98. Offered a great opportunity. We even had our bias chart support there. 32.95, 33.82. Nice rebound here. Very nice rebound. Wow. Yeah. Bias chart was only up by 2.5 pips, and boy, did we see a screen back. I hope some of y'all are able to jump and take advantage of this because, boys, this thing kept mounting back. Boy, what a move back. And resistance will be 34.15. We'll have to adjust that for 34.15. Support now is going to be coming right there. 33, we'll call it 33.38. When he dips back there, the market's going to try and step in and defend that. Looking at the peso, I thought there was a chance we'd get down there to about at least around 18. Well, I want to say at least 1868, but I thought it would at least make a move down to, well, just for starters, 72, if not 70. And we simply didn't get there. We just kind of held around here, and finally we saw a little bit of short covering come in place. Now, we did go and mention the analysis that we'd have to go in, and here's that resistance level, 1892. I don't even know if we even had that listed. Well, I actually had it pretty close, 1886. So obviously made that move towards that 1892 area here. And I think we were saying that we needed to close above 1893 just to get a pause. That's it, just to get a pause, nothing else. And then much higher than to go on and change things around. It would still be in a sell mode. Well, they made it up to this 1892 area here, past this 1886. At least for now. And you look right here, that'll be the resistance 1894. Because once again, this thing is in huge bearish type mode, sell mode. So it'll be 1894. We'll keep it pretty tight. So we'll put 1882. That's a little bit tight. And the only reason I'm thinking is that, let's take it right here, is because the Apollo, anyone short, they may use this opportunity to cover some shorts. Once again, we're still in a huge sell mode, but we are very overdone. I thought we would have made a quick dip down to around into the 60s, and then I thought we would found a little bit of some short cover, but boy, we hung around here. We'll keep it pretty tight. We'll say 1882. Let's just to play it a little bit on the cautious side. 18.81. I don't think using any fibs here is going to really make any real difference. We're still fairly tight, and this market can still work lower. And just to, if you're the support is going to come in there in 1882, just to give yourself just right there to allow this market. You can see here it would also coincide here with this little high, be 1880. Now let's go and move into the Dalian. The zoo data is going to be out shortly. So we'll keep that close by. And let's go and take a look here with the dollar yen. Well, obviously no changes here with the dollar yen. The key last week was getting above this 1187, and we haven't done anything with it. But it's holding its own. But once again, technically, there'd be no reason to go and sell it because we're above this 1187. Obviously, if we close below it, we've already gone above it. But I'm saying we close below it, it just kind of serves notice. If you want to put, I was going to say it puts a yellow light on. I can't even say necessarily that because It doesn't tend things bearish, but it certainly is questionable at that point then. So once again, you'd have to go and wait and see what happens. But we are above that 1187, but we're sure as heck not doing anything with it. Downside, well, there's not going to be any changes, obviously. Downside is going to be 1162. We saw the 1136 right here, but tightening things up a bit, 1162 and 1226. As I told you, there's a plethora of volume up to 1254. I mean, a lot of volume. You see that all the way up in here. Okay, look at that. So a lot of volume, although I would have even with me doubting this yen move, would have expected some further movement up in here. Next up is the cash dollar index. And we're still holding here on the cash dollar index here. And just waiting for that zoo data to come out. Now, we've had 96.74, so we adjusted that because we're thinking, okay, the dollar's under pressure, although I don't think it's going to be under a lot of pressure. So we moved it to that 96.62, and it didn't even make it to the 96.74. I'm just saying, look how tight of a range we're in. It's just unbelievable how tight this is. And we're just not moving anywhere here. Zoo data is getting ready to come out, so let's just go on and move into that real quickly. Got the euro here, the cash dollar index here. And let's see what happens here with the zoo data. The prior was not negative 3.6. We're looking for a pretty good gain here of 0.8. Showing we've got 15 seconds. Let's see if we do anything with this. I didn't even see the data even come out. German zoo data, 5.5 versus 8.5 expected situation. Let's see why this didn't come out. Hang on. Move this out. But I do show here current situation 5.5 versus 8.5 expected. They were looking for 8.0, carrying 5.5. I don't know why there was a delay here because my news comes out very, very fast. So there was I don't know why this ended up taking a moment on that. And we only got a slight bump up here in the euro. So it certainly looked like there was an opportunity for us to try and maybe move higher, and certainly not making the most of it at all whatsoever. A bit of a disappointment though, because they were expecting 8.0 and they got 5.5, so a disappointment of 2.5. And boy, we look how tight this cash dollar index is. We are just not moving. Well, no changes here in the cash dollar index. 96.62, 97.07. Boy, I kept that pretty tight. Look at that, 97.07. So far, the high's been 97.02. And we'll move into the gold. With 1280 as support, we talked about that. If we break here, we have that opportunity to come back down to the pivot. And you can see the significance of it at 1267. But we're holding up here. But once again, we're in very, very quiet markets. We said 1280 was our support and resistance at 1296. And just like the other markets, we're doing a whole bunch of nothing at this point. So no changes there with the gold. With that, we'll move into the crosses. A little blip higher here with the euro pound, but nothing of any real significance. We have 86.63 here on the upside and 86.16 down here on the lower end, and we're staying quiet. We're just kind of trudging a little bit higher, but not by very much. And euro's doing a whole heck of nothing. It's at 1308 right now. And let's go on and take a look at the euro yen. Now we come up here, a key area here with the euro yen. We saw that yesterday. Which is at 78%. Now we had a resistance here. If given the yen the benefit of the doubt, if we could stretch up here to this 26.95, well, we haven't been able to do it yet. Look at that. We're just kind of hanging around here, not been able to stretch. And on the lower end, 26.30, thinking this market's going to hold. Well, the low so far has been 26.38, but we're trading in a very, very tight range. I'm still going to give the yen the benefit of the doubt that they can push it higher, or the euro versus the yen, and I'd be looking at this 26.95. But you can see here, got a good fib here, key fib, 78%, and we've had a pretty good run. So my thinking is it could still push higher. I'm talking about much higher if it were to go that route. But my thinking is that we're going to come up in here and kind of fade, and we're even struggling even to try and make a move there. My thought was, okay, we'll get up here and then we'll get a little pullback, but from 26.95, challenge back to this 26.21, probably come down to about about 26.10 or so. So it'd still be 85 pips. But heck, we're not even able to even get there, because when you look at this, it looks like it has the opportunity to really break much higher, and so far it's simply not doing it. We'll retain the 26.95. The only thing we will do is we'll move this down to 26.21 on the downside for support. Because we could just roll over and slide back. Let's go into the euro odd. We had 57.46, but this market's been able to apologize, 58.17. We did make it up here, obviously, with the Aussie news, up here to 58.34. This one has the potential to move higher if we can ever get the euro to move up a little bit, but we're actually, if we are able to break up here, it's going to come up here to 58.75. There's some resistance from where we're at right now, but with this whole RBA business, I think that we can still make a move up in here, and that would take us right there to 58.75. On the downside, it's going to be right there. 57.81. Should move this. Caught 57.80. 57.80. I know folks have been looking for this one. Euro New Zealand, Euro Kiwi, going to move much higher. But we haven't done anything with it. Certainly, you would think you could make the case if the euro is really going to move higher. Yeah, that would make the case that it would seem we would be able to break out much higher. But the euro hasn't done anything, so I guess once again it's we're stuck here for now. But if you think about it, it does from a fundamental standpoint. Fundamental in the sense that the issues with the Kiwi and that the euro has the potential to move higher. And I'm not saying it's going to take off, but technically it has that opportunity to move higher. Certainly would suggest that at least we'd come up here to about 69.34, 200 pips away. But we haven't done it yet. And initial resistance is going to come in at 67.71. We came down here and split this. B67 on the support. And let's go with the Aussie yen. This one's surprising. Well, yeah, I was going to say it was surprising. because I'm thinking, look at here's the S&P is even higher, but we did get that RBA news, and that certainly took the wind out. They came right back, and then they just said, well, wait a minute, still things haven't changed. I mean, as far as things haven't changed, look at, there's going to be a cut, and then we came off. But we do have the S&Ps at new highs, so certainly has given it some extra juice here. Resistance, well, it's going to have a tough time now in light of that. So here's that 161% that we had, and we had a resistance. You can see that right at the 161% if we were to push a little bit higher. Because once again, I'm still doubting the yen. Although technically speaking, it's still open for pairs against the yen to move higher. Resistance, look, the S&Ps are at newer highs from where they've been, and we weren't able to break above. We dropped off, and now you have this issue with the RBA. Not only looking to cut, but what they're looking for is potentially a cut this year. So resistance is going to be, you think about right there, 80.19. The only thing that's going to help is if the yen really starts to weaken. Support down here, 79.60. Certainly wasn't. You're looking here with the sterling versus yen, still relatively quiet, which is nothing new if you think about it. It's quiet across the board. We had 47.02. That makes sense, although we're starting to wane from this point here. You'd actually have to, if we're going to tighten it up, I hate to tighten it up too much here. We're actually starting to slide now. I like this area right here, this 46.05 for a target. You can even make the move to make the case, I should say, that you can come down here to about 45.94. There. If you're targeting, I'd go with 45.94. Resistance for right now, 46.73. Call it 46.71. 46.71. Still remains bullish overall, but if you're looking for areas to stretch to, I like this 45.94. right there. Sterling versus the odd. Well, just as if it appeared we were coming out of the woods. I posted this. Look at that. You had the two confluencing fibs here, so we had the potential to move higher. I would have thought we'd have done a whole heck of a lot more with this here. So no changes here. No changes at all. You can see that here, 83.44 right there. You see that? And on the downside, 82.33. Really needs to hold well above that. I mean, that's at this point, this needs to move to right there. $82.70. And with the CAD yen, obviously you've got a big move here with the Canadian currency. Doggone, I wish I'd have been here yesterday. Boy, that dollar CAD went down there and dipped down there just a hair below 33. And look, we made this run to the 61%. Came up just a little bit short, but not by very much. And then, boy, look at this turnaround. Resistance is going to be 83.81. Support comes in right there at 83.36. So we are seeing the euro kind of come back in here after a disappointing Zoom number. So we're sliding here, and as I said, is that the door's open for higher, and they're not doing anything with it. And to come back in here once again is it reminds me, with the yen too, and it got above 1187. Look, we get above 1291, the door's open for us to move higher, and we do absolutely nothing. And even in the Asian analysis over the weekend, I put, we close above 1291, albeit by only 7 pips. You see what I'm saying? And then there's no follow through, and of course we got a disappointing Zoom number, and it's allowed this euro to pair back in a bit. As I said, the jury's still out on the dollar index. We just came here on the dollar index right to our resistance, 97.07, right here to the pip, or to, in this case, to the tick. But on a short-term basis, it'll be a little bit concerning if we were to lose 1291. Open the door for us to potentially move down to that 1260. If we lose 1291 on a daily closing basis here. Dollar CAD still looks, Canadian currency still looks, well, in this case, weaker, let's say that. But, and peso trying to get a little bit of life, a little bit here. Look at the dollar yen now, you see here now 1188, now starting to pair back a bit here. And all in all, this is while the S&Ps have moved even higher. I'll go and get this posted in the room in a very, very quiet session. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.